I'd like to call the July 12, 2016 Union County Board of Education meeting to order. I need a motion to go into closed session pursuant to NCGS 143-131, 2 for the consideration of bids, prevent the disclosure of privileged student information pursuant to NCGS 143-318.11A1, and under NCGS 115C-402 and FERPA 20 USC 1232G. Prevent the disclosure of privileged personnel information pursuant to NCGS 143-318.11A1 and under Chapter 115C, Article 21A of the North Carolina General Statutes. Pursuant to NCGS 143-318.11A3, to consult with an attorney in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege between the attorney and the public body, which privilege is hereby acknowledged, and to consider and give instructions concerning a potential or actual claim, administrative procedure, or judicial action, if known. Title of action is Hood versus Union County BOE, Reed versus Union County BOE, and Kingsbury versus Union County BOE.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay, could we please have a moment of silence? Okay, can you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, now we are at the approval of the agenda, and I'd like to make an amendment. So we can make this item number 9 after the budget overview, and that's D2 vacancy. Okay. It was for the D2, District 2 vacancy. Item number 9 after budget overview.
Motion to approve the agenda with the changes.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Yes, okay, thank you. Okay, special recognitions.
And if people come so they can shake hands. Good evening. We have some outstanding individuals that we would like to recognize tonight, both staff and a UCPS graduate. When I call your name, please come forward and allow the school board to congratulate you on your accomplishment. First, the Union County Association of Educational Office Professionals has chosen Dr. Ann Radke. Okay, Dr. Radke's not here, so we will hold her till next month. Marvin Ridge High School coach Cameron Starr has been recognized by the National Federation of State High School Associations as the 2015-16 Girls Cross Country Coach of the Year. He was presented with the award at the North Carolina High School Athletic Association's Spring Board of Directors meeting in Chapel Hill. Coach Starr has been coaching at Marvin Ridge High School since the school opened in fall 2007. During his tenure as an assistant and head coach, his cross-country and track teams have won a combined 24 Union County championships, 32 conference championships, 6 regional championships, 8 state runner-up performances, and 6 state championships. Here to support Coach Starr is his wife, Sarah, who is the new principal at Marvin Elementary School, his assistant principal, Mr. Matt Lasher, and UCPS Athletic Director, Doug Jones. Congratulations, Coach Starr. Roz Brown, a teacher at Wingate Elementary, has been recognized by the Marshall Veteran of Foreign Affairs with the 2016 Smart Mar VFW National Citizenship Education Teach Award. She received the award after being nominated by Jason Newberger, another teacher at the school. In his nomination, he said, "Miss Brown is the face of America who gently and respectfully imparts American values, culture, and expectations while going out of her way to make newcomers feel more comfortable in their new country." Miss Brown received a plaque and a $100 check from the VFW chapter. Incidentally, she was also chosen as Wingate's 2016 Teacher of the Year. Congratulations, Miss Brown. Here to support her tonight is her husband, Peter, her parents, Ron and Cheryl James, and her principal, Dr. Mike Henderson. Congratulations. I'm sorry. I didn't realize I was clapping. Sorry. We would now like to recognize a very talented 2016 graduate of Central Academy of Technology and Arts. Unfortunately, Amina Faye is unable to be here tonight, but we wanted to acknowledge her for the following awards. Amina performed A New Life from the musical Jekyll and Hyde, playing the character of Lucy. Her performance won her the Jimmy Award for Best Performance by an Actress on June 27th during the National High School Musical Theater Awards. Amina was representing the Bloomies, a competition she won in May at the Bloomingthal Performing Arts Awards. Her win resulted in an all-expense-paid trip to New York to compete in the New York City competition, which was held at the Minskoff Theater on Broadway. Board continues. And Dr. Vasin is here to support her tonight and receive the shaking of the hands. Board, that concludes our recognitions for tonight. Thank you.
Okay, now we will have board comments. Public comments. 30 minutes has been allotted for public comments. Community members wishing to speak during public comments should state their name, address, and phone number prior to making other comments. The board will not hear in open session complaints about the performance of school personnel, personnel issues, confidential student issues. Individuals may address the board for a maximum of 3 minutes. Any person who is an appointed representative for a group may address the board for a maximum of 5 minutes. Should a community member wish to seek information or share items that may not be shared during public comments, our deputy superintendents are available to address your concerns or provide information. Our deputy superintendent will stand as I introduce Dr. David Clark, Deputy Superintendent of Human Resources. And that's it. Thank you. So we have Mr. Capella.
It's Frank Capella speaking on behalf of Winding Creek and the Winding Creek HOA Association. Madam Chair and Board of Education members, I'd like to speak with you tonight about the bond that will be placed before the voters of Union County. I'm speaking with you tonight strictly as a taxpayer as I pulled my child from UCPS after the 2014 redistricting due to trust factors and past actions of this board. We will not reconsider bringing our child back into UCPS until after the November election results. I plan to speak with you very directly and very pointedly. It is no secret that I've disagreed with just about every major decision this board has made. I've disagreed with past leadership and the way members had conducted themselves. I have never, however, taken to social media to disparage nor embarrass anyone personally. I've always attempted to address this board professionally and with respect. But I want to be clear. Most Union County residents know that this board has been the epicenter of divisive decisions, dysfunction, and controversial actions in the past. Much more importantly than that, this board has lost the trust a community usually has with its school board, even with those in the community who don't often pay attention to school board activities. Now, this board is going to ask the same Union County community to support a $50 million bond. Having said that, and in full disclosure, I have never, ever not voted for a school bond, ever. I have been torn over this bond, and I'll explain my reasons for concern and what I believe can be done to support this referendum. First, the words or even mentioning of the letters CCEP will make the community recoil. CCEP is a name that was tagged by board members and cabinet staff who residents feel drove divisive policies down the throats of parents and taxpayers alike. That name needs to be put out of its misery immediately. Regardless of the hours put in by this board, the CCEP was born out of the destructive redistricting episode. It's no secret that this body has struggled greatly with the public trust, starting with that redistricting decision right up to today. So if you want the community to move on, to really move on, here is the first step. Drop the CCEP and everything it represents. Even more direct. I and other residents will not walk into a voting booth, risk a higher tax rate, and pull the lever for yes if we believe we're delivering any victory whatsoever to the vision of the past two board chairmen, past facilities chair, or the past superintendent. Support will be based solely on the 100% total transparency by this board from this point on. What I'm talking about is political. And I will not take part in any legacy building for anyone. My focus has always been exclusively on how to help our kids and heal our community. Also, we need to talk about this board's leadership and planning. How can you not be in constant contact with your BOCC counterparts through a bond process and not have been working on contingency plans or backup months and months ago in case $230 million was unaffordable? Every successful negotiation succeeds upon the strong level of preparedness. Moreover, did this board really think that presenting a $102 million hybrid with no studies or simple schematic based on scribbled notes in a one-page Word document was a great idea? This is exactly why a close working relationship with the Board of County Commissioners is so crucial. The takeaway from your bond experience shouldn't be about winning and losing. It should be about winning and learning and working together. So what can this board do to garner support for this bond? This board needs to re-examine its planning practices, and I do believe Mrs. Merrill can help greatly with those changes. Pricing of projects must be transparent for all to see and review. Don't be afraid to ask any question, especially if you believe it could save taxpayers' dollars or increase efficiency. That also includes making sure all your capacity numbers are new, updated, and aligned with these particular projects. Your plans must be justified. Remember, it was bad planning that sent children to their fourth or fifth furthest school from home, or on 50-minute bus rides each way. That is why this board needs to attack the trust deficit project by project. As an example, if you're going to ask for support for a stadium that costs $5 million plus.
Mr. Capella,
Yes.
you gotta wrap it up. Your time's up, but you can sum.
I'm going to, well, has it been 5 minutes?
It has.
Okay.
You can sum it up.
All right. I'm just going to say this. Look, it's a really important point that you guys understand this. This board has got to address the stigma it has with the average county voter, ones who aren't involved parents or taxpayers, who only learn about this board and its activities through news reports or articles in the paper. Think about the news they have read or the TV reports they have seen over the past few years about this board. That is a perfect example of the amount of work that needs to get done. You guys have to make a concerted, real effort to reach out, ask questions, update your capacity numbers to ensure long-term planning and pricing. And most important, this is the most important things, you guys have got to work extremely hard to rebuild lost trust. Okay? The direction you choose will determine the outcome of the bond in November. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'd lead to get a motion to approve the May 16th and May 24th joint meeting with the county commissioner minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you. Okay, we need a motion to approve the consent items on the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Okay, thank you. Okay, superintendent report, Ms. Morris?
Thank you. Good evening. We've had some personnel changes since last we met. Mr. Childers and his assistant principal, Ms. Constance Kelly, have transitioned to serve as the administrative team at Antioch Elementary School. Dr. Jamie Benfield and her AP, Dr. Camilla Bell, have made their transition to Walter Bickett Elementary School. Dr. McManus is safely transitioned to early college, and then principals Carol Alley and Sarah Starr, who I think has left already, have begun their new journey as principals at Parkwood High School and Marvin Elementary School, respectively. We're in the process of welcoming Dr. Kim Andrews, formerly of Myers Park High School, to the principalship at Weddington High School, and she will be here this week. And we have welcomed Mr. Marlon Watson, formerly of Durham County Public Schools, as our new transportation director. And lastly, we are excited for Mr. Bowers to assume his new duties as the Director of Student Services and Accountability. We held on June 14th the retiree luncheon, where we honored 121 retirees with a combined years of more than 2,500 years of service to Union County Public Schools. There were 18 retirees who served for a total of 30 years each, 30 years or more each. Some of the board members were there, were Ms. Harrell and Ms. Merrill and Mr. Martin. That same day, I was able to attend a cookout that was held by the Transportation Department. And I think they do this annually. Is that correct, Mr. Basin?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And they had a grill out there that Mr. Kenny Stewart has built himself, and there were it was just the most amazing cookout, and it was a great opportunity to meet and greet with the folks in the Transportation Department. On June 19th and 20th, I attended the NCASA Leadership Conference in Asheville. And then our golf tournament. I told you all about our golf tournament last month. But on Thursday, I'm going to be presenting on your behalf a check in the amount of $12,482.41, which with a prior donation of $6,100 is a grand total of $18,582.41 to the Education Foundation as proceeds from that golf tournament. It is due in large measure to the wonderful leadership we have in Mr. Baisden, Mr. Breedlove, Dr. Harris, Dr. Tyson. They really worked very hard to pull that off. Year-round schools open soon. They open on the 21st, and then Walter Pickett Education Center opens on the 29th. And then I just wanted to remind you all that I am going to be on a cruise next week and out of pocket. Dr. Clark is also going to be on vacation. So Dr. Jones is going to be the point of contact. So just as a reminder. So thank you all. That's the end of the report.
Okay, thank you. Our next item 7 is preliminary communications plan for the bond. I know that, of course, the bond is the talk of the town, and we wanted to talk about our plan and get some preliminary input. And we were on the facilities committee, and Ms. Dahlberg says, this is what I do, this is what I do, and she had some ideas. So I wanted to hear what her ideas are, and we kind of get started talking on it.
Good evening, members of the Board of Education and Ms. Morris. I am presenting our preliminary communications plan for the bond information campaign. Just want to start out by saying we have about 119 days until Election Day, which is not a whole lot of time. So we will have a whole lot of work to do in a short period of time, but we have already begun working on a plan and working on the materials that will be bringing forth to the community. Just want to start out by saying that we are following DPI's model for bond campaigns, which includes a steering committee that is made up of different committees from across the county. So that's school committees, that's students, that's parents, that's a whole lot of stakeholders that we will have to bring together the entire committee. Union County Public Schools, the role of this county and the role of our department is to provide information. We will be the people who will be collecting and developing all the collateral material that will be shared with the community. We will be the ones developing all of the strategies and the communications, talking points, key facts, fact sheets, all of those things that will go into presentations to our stakeholders. In addition, we will have PowerPoint presentations, brochures, flyers, yard signs, all of those things that we would need to reach all of our stakeholders and people around the entire county. We all know that everyone is not all connected as we are, so we will need to have multiple communication channels to run this campaign. 10 years ago, our last bond, 2006, social media did not exist. So that will be a new factor, not for us, but for a bond campaign that we will have to include. It will be an internal and external planning and campaign. We plan to do lots of Speakers Bureau meetings. There will be lots of face-to-face meetings. We'll be building a very extensive list of groups and organizations that we will meet in all parts of the county to inform our community about what our needs are and what the ask is for. In addition, we will meet with staff all across Union County Public Schools, deploy parent groups, we'll have email outreach, a website, mention social media strategies, school level communications, and also we will involve the media in sharing our stories. So as you can see, the big overview of the plan is very multifaceted. It will involve lots of folks getting boots on the ground, getting out in the community. At this time, we are developing materials. We are fact checking. We are vetting. We want to present accurate and factual information to the community and to those who will be going to the polls on November 8th. So it is my goal that in a couple of weeks or so, we'll be ready to roll out. We'll be ready to get our steering committees together to then deploy them out. Athletic events start in early August, and that's a good time to reach lots of parents, lots of community members who may or may not have children in our schools, but who will be going to the polls in November. And that concludes my overview.
That's great. That's really, really good. And I guess we'll have to discuss like the process of, I know the publications and what goes on. I guess there's an approval process so that we can review that.
We will, I am holding hands. Me and Don Hughes and Joe Delaney have become just the three amigos. And so we are holding hands very closely, talking through, making sure the information is understandable, making sure that we are giving the most accurate information that we can, and making sure that our community knows exactly what those numbers are that people have been asking and talking about. But information will be vetted through the facilities committee and through the facilities department, definitely.
Okay. And I think,
I just had a question. Obviously, as you start getting together with your committees and you start putting together this plan, will there be some kind of action plan that will be, even if it's in draft form, delivered to the board so we can start to see what those action points are?
We can have that. I have a little nifty tool, project management tool that I'm working from, so we could track deadlines and dates and who's responsible and status, but I could export that into an Excel spreadsheet and share that with you all. The Speakers Bureau list is it's growing. We want to just make sure that we are reaching all parts of the county. So in addition to, Kiwanis, Rotary, we have HOAs, Wingate University, our students, we have parent groups, we have houses of worship. We want to reach everyone with all the information that we can. All of our town meetings for the different municipalities and the like. So yes, we'll be able to share that and let you all see the process.
Well, and Tahira, just correct me if I'm wrong. We'll be providing something to you all because you all are going to be a lot of the face of these meetings, so that you'll have the same information to share. We'll do some sort of, sit down where we can provide all that information to you. I'm sure we'll work with facilities committee as well. They have a meeting, I think June 26th, and we can start, or July, sorry, I'm a month behind, start talking about what those things are that y'all need to be talking about. Because obviously we want to make sure that you all have the best, most accurate information and know at least what we hope questions that the community will ask you, so you're prepared to be ready to answer.
Everyone who's presenting or speaking or heading out will have a toolkit of information. So you won't be going out just speaking from what you know. It'll be, everyone will have the same information, PowerPoint, fact sheets, information that you can then share and answer questions about.
And Tahira, I just wanted to confirm, all the board members will have an opportunity to look at the materials before it goes to printing?
That's something that we could discuss. If that's the will of the board, then we shall abide with that.
thank you. Okay, do that, yep.
I have a couple questions. Quick comment. Will we be establishing a political action committee in order to fund campaign efforts?
Mr. Sides, that is something that the board will have to discuss. That is not my role in that process. And according to the guidelines that DPI has set forth, the community is encouraged to establish a committee for that. I can support them, I can help them, but that is not my role to establish that particular committee.
Do DPI guidelines allow us to use our own funding to develop campaign-like materials for this process, brochures, handouts, et cetera? Or I guess the reason I'm asking about a political action committee is because if we're gonna have yard signs, we're gonna have to raise money for them. So I don't know how the connection is between our budget and funding those campaign materials, how that has to be handled?
There are certain materials that we can fund. It depends on what the verbiage is on that. And so, for instance, we can encourage information about the needs and encourage people to vote. We cannot advocate on what their vote is. So if the the action committee can have messages that we cannot have. I have reached out to principals. When you all met with the county on Friday, that Monday, I was already hard at work pulling information together. And so we are getting together a volunteer database where those committees could be established through our parents and community members.
Do you have a budget in mind for our share of any printed materials, et cetera?
I do not. I am speaking with our chief finance officer to consider those funds, but I don't have that yet.
And just a comment, I think particularly in the two largest projects, the Sun Valley upfit and the transportation center, just a suggestion, when you do your website presentation or in-person PowerPoint presentation, whatever internal skills we have to make as much of a virtual building or a virtual experience on those two projects, I think would be very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing to have bullet points and say, we need this transportation center for this, this, and this. It's another thing to have it where they can look and see and almost smell and touch it.
Right.
Really creates a good mind picture that makes it more understandable. Particularly if you could just imagine if you could do something like a virtual tour of the new Sun Valley High,
Mm-hmm.
how far that would go, rather than saying, well, we're going to refurb the auditorium, we're going to enlarge the kitchen, we're going to enlarge the cafeteria.
Right.
If you could show somebody that world, and there's probably some kids over CATA over there that could probably do it, because I know I couldn't.
Well, we're on that already.
Okay.
Arthur on my team went out 3 weeks ago, whenever that first week was, already taking photos. So we are there. We'll be able to
Great.
show folks what our needs are. You'll be able to see the mobile units. You'll be able to see what we're asking for.
Great.
Thank you
so much. Okay, next we have the budget overview. Mr. Guzman?
Thank you. I believe it was last month, Mr. Karpinski presented to the board the county manager's recommended budget to the county commissioners. And I think we went over in quite good detail what that entailed. Since then, of course, the commissioners have met and they approved, I believe, in full her recommendations for the school capital and current expense budget. So I don't think there's really any reason to go over all those numbers again. We did that last month. However, if there's any questions or discussion the board would like to have, we could do that now. And Mr. Karpinski is here to field any questions.
Well, I guess my general question is it your intention as part of this to go through the differences between our approved budget and the county's approved budget? Is that what you're looking to do here?
In your package, you have the 15-16 county appropriation, you have the Board of Education's request or proposal, and then you have the county appropriation for 16-17 as adjusted by the county commission. The county manager on the current expense side did not include anything for teacher supplements. However, the county did add $1 million for teacher supplements. So my intent was to go through the line items and talk briefly about each of them, which is important because we do have some issues.
Right.
The first one was we asked for 2.9 for charter schools. Well, every indication is charter schools are going to grow in this county. We have the two new charter schools. Every number I have ran for this scenario means we're going to have a bill of over $2 million more than we had last year and got zero from the county commissioners. We won't know until at least the 20th day to get those counts from them. Of course, have our counts. But that is a major hole that this board is going to have to work on come September, October, once we have those numbers in hand. Utilities, we of course didn't get any funding for that. I hope Mr. Yates is right. If his projection of 1% holds true, we're going to basically be able to manage that. If it's anything more than 1%, it gets over budget. Local teacher supplement, like I said, I'm very pleased that the county commissioners gave us an additional $1 million. We're working up those schedules and hope to have those in the July paychecks. The increase the average teacher salary compensation, that looks like it's in line. Remember, we use the governor's numbers. The House didn't get their budget out to us until after the budget was due to the county commission. So all we had to work with was the governor's numbers. So we don't really see any issue with that particular line item, the $223,000 for the increase to the average teacher salary and compensation. You're mainly funding your lower paid teachers because you're higher paid teachers on state.
Dan, you have access to the state's final approved budget. Is that correct, or you don't have that yet?
Don't have it, and it's not final.
Okay.
I learned just today, actually, that we had a conference call with Financial Business Services from DPI, and they were trying to let the governor know how important it is to sign off on the budget. Legislators have gone home. Governor hasn't signed it, and he has until July 31st to sign it. And if he doesn't sign it, it becomes law and becomes a passed budget. But technically, I should say, education systems in North Carolina are operating without a budget technically. So bottom line is we have some numbers that we think it might be, but until we get those numbers, we're very cautious with any of these projections. But one of the items that is going to cause us some issues is this increased state retirement contribution. For some reason, that number is going off the roof up. It's over a 5% increase from what it was last year. So that is going to cause some issues. Last year, it was 15.32% of a person's on top of their salary. You'd have a 15.32 contribution to the retirement system. It looks like the state's going to use 16.12, and we didn't budget for that, nor did the governor give us the numbers to project that. So there's going to be an issue there. I guess there's a little bit of a bright spot, maybe, not necessarily, but the next page, funds for an average 3.5% bonus for locally paid school-based administrators. We might have an extra 0.5% there. Not sure, but depends on what the state budget actually is when it comes to us. Local cost of supporting movement, I think that covers us. The average 3% bonus, we requested 1.450. When you balanced all the numbers the county gave us, that's the only place I can balance this, and it is short. That line item now looks like it's going to be a 1.5% raise, a 0.5% bonus, and then there's a 1% merit that not everybody would get. That would be, we don't even have any direction on that. I believe the plans that local boards put together must be submitted to DPI late December or early January. So none of those plans, of course, most boards of education don't have a plan for a merit pay increase. So we'd have to develop that quickly and get that approved by you all. And I think there is some movement in North Carolina to kind of join forces with other systems to figure out how we're going to implement that for non-certified people. Everything else I didn't talk about, we didn't get the money, we can't do it, period. If I could, I'll move the capital. Capital, you have in your packet the same scenario. We asked, or I should say the board asked for 26.8 million. We got 17.749 million. I've put together Exhibit A, and the way you see it on this page is the way the county funded it. It was line item by line item. What we would want to work with the board and or committee, we need to talk to the county to see if they'll do it. That's fine, project by project, but at least lump it into a school. So a project becomes a school, because accounting for this stuff and let's just say on the first one, Benton Heights Elementary, we got $16,720 for ADA projects for upgrade door hardware. Well, if that comes in at 17,000, you're going to have somebody go to the county commission for, less than $300. We think it would be more efficient to make a budget for Benton Heights to include the renovations, the door hardware, the restrooms, and the site improvements in one budget, and have the project be the school. Because that's another thing. You don't bid these things out like that anyways. You're bidding them out to get it done at a school, and sometimes you're even bidding it out all 88 projects, no matter where they might be. So for efficiencies, we would hope that we can work with our board or through our board or our committees to work with the county to adjust that for us.
Now, the way this is currently set up, if you have an emergency or an emerging need that pops up, somebody's chiller goes out, et cetera, you're going to have to basically go to the county and either, if the way you want to do it by school, drop off a whole school's list of projects, or if these items are prioritized individually, then that new emerging need would go on the list at the appropriate place, or emergency at the top. Is that the way that staff is going to propose to look at emerging needs?
Well, there's several ways that we can look at that. Of course, we could say we're not going to do, let's just say, I'm looking for a good item here.
I think our first step is to ask for the money.
Absolutely.
Ask for the money on top of what we're budgeted for this year?
Right, for emerging needs, since we didn't get any emergency needs money.
Okay.
And, I think that's our next step. And speaking with the chairman, Rushing, I know that when I spoke on behalf of the bond, he alluded to the fact that there was $2 to $3 million that was there. Yeah, about $5 million that was there left over from the school. So I think that one of the discussions we'll have once we get our governor's budget and we meet, to go over that process with the county. I know that when I went to speak to them in December, they said, well, it's kind of too close for the budget, but we do need to come up with a process because, as you indicate, those things are going to happen.
Well, I guess that's my question. Once you have the governor's number, is the process to go to the appropriate committee, whether it's finance or facilities, and answer some of these questions about how things like the shortfall that's going to have to go to the charter schools, how's that going to be addressed, and how we're going to handle emerging needs? Is that the process we're going through?
The normal process would be we take it to finance first, and then of course, if it's a facility issue, we'd have to go to the facilities committee as well, and then we bring it to the full board for recommendations and or suggestions to take to the county commission.
So,
I think-
technically, we don't have a budget either.
No, we won't have a budget
Right.
until.
Well, we have an interim budget. When we
Right.
adopted our proposed budget, we made sure that we had an interim budget in place.
Yeah, enough to fund until all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed.
That's correct.
But the good news is I did hear inkling from General Assembly that we would get our signed budget a lot earlier than October than we did last year. So that's at least hopeful.
And I just read today that they're projecting now over a $400 million surplus.
The rainy day
State on the state budget
Yes, sir.
side, more than, I think they projected like 90 million, and now it's going to be like 450. something like that.
Early projections were
Yeah.
a lot lower than the 400 million that I believe is called the rainy day fund.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, thank you. Mr. Karbinski? Okay, the next one is the District 2 vacancy. As you may recall from, I guess, month before last, whenever that was, policy 1-1 states that vacancies occurring on the board for any reason other than by expiration of the term of office shall be filled by appointment by the remaining members of the board. The person appointed to this vacancy shall serve until the next election of members of the board is held. That time, the remaining unexpired term of the office in which the vacancy occurs shall be filled by election. So as we did before, just as entertaining a motion for discussion, is that we had to make a motion to supersede our policy in order to not fill the vacancy, if that's what we want to do. And then the other motion would be to make a motion to start the proceedings. So I will entertain a motion if anyone feels so moved.
Madam Chair, I would make the motion to supersede the policy. And as we did with the last seat being so close to an election, that it would make more sense to leave the seat vacant until it can be filled after the election.
I'll second, for the sake of discussion. I have just a hypothetical I want to throw
You
out.
second?
Yeah, I'll second it,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, thanks.
Then before Ms. Merrill starts talking, I want to jump in. Let's just suppose of these two open districts that only one candidate files for the office. Could we then appoint them? Go back and change our rules? Only one, you got two open districts. Only one person files for that seat, so it's not contested. And that's the end of July. And then the election's in November. Is there anything that keeps us from doing that?
There may not, although
Revisit the policy.
I know when a new group of board members come on in, they all kind of go through a process of Board 101. They all kind of go through learning that process, and it may not make sense for, a 2-month period to have someone just a little bit ahead and have to start that process. It may be worth waiting and let them all go through that together.
Okay, is there any other discussion? Okay, well, we have a motion on the floor that was second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, great, motion passes. Thank you. Okay, now we have closed session decisions. I need a motion to approve the roofing bid for Rayview Elementary School.
I make a motion that we approve the roofing bid for Rayview Elementary.
And I guess since it came out of facilities.
It does not need a second.
Okay, so all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Motion passes. And board comments.
I just have one quick comment. I wanted to extend condolences to the Ashcraft family. Rainey Ashcraft passed away late last week. The Ashcraft family, you may know, is the original family started the Inquirer Journal, and the family was involved up until its sale some years back. Mr. Ashcraft served on this board from 1998 to 2002, I believe in an at-large seat. And he was one of the visionaries that eventually CATA came about. And Mr. Ashcraft leaves behind wife Teresa and 3 children, Jennifer, Michelle, Rainey Jr., and numerous grandchildren. And he was a pillar of the community, involved in Union Diversified Industries for many, many years, as well as the school system. And on behalf of the board, I'd just like to extend the condolences to the Ashcraft family.
Yeah, just one comment. The recent resignation of Mr. Stewart, I just wanted to thank Mr. Stewart. I know he had some family issues he had to take care of that take priority over board business, but I do want to thank him for his leadership and the time that we served together. He headed up facilities and was very vocal, strong proponent for children and facilities, and just wanted to thank him publicly for his service and, to Union County and to the children of Union County. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I'd like to say that since our last board meeting, I did have the opportunity to speak before the county after we had our special meeting, and thank you. I know that we came together rather quickly, and we had a presentation. Ms. Merrill had the presentation, and we had several staff that came on their day off, and I appreciate that, Dr. Clark, Mr. Bazin, and Mr. Delaney. So thank you so much for coming on your day off. And so I just wanted to do a little recap, just so that we can have it publicly on the record, that we did go and we asked them for 53,053.6, and the projects were Monroe High School, Porter Ridge Middle School, Porter Ridge High School, Sun Valley High School, Western Union Elementary School, Piedmont High School, and a new transportation facility. And while that was not our full 230 million, we felt it was best to take care of those that met watch and cap and the immediate need. So we were very hopeful, and a process in the beginning that I didn't think we'd see anything, and that we ended up doing that. And as you can see with Ms. Stalwart, that we are going to have to work hard. We worked hard to get it on the ballot. Now we've got to work even harder to get it passed. And it's going to take all of us, all of our constituency, our neighbors, to come together and educate people on what this means for these schools and our children, and what it means. The transportation facility is not a school, and to some it's needs, but that touches every one of our children, because it's our safety, it's our buses, it's being able to take care of them properly. So I want to thank everybody for coming together in that short period of time. Thank you, Ms. Merrill, for fielding those questions. And while it's not necessarily the most fun to be on the hot seat, you do what you got to do to get what you need to get done. And so I am going to ask the community to please come together. And if there's something that you do not understand, if we haven't gotten to you first, please call us, call any of us, and we'd be happy to sit down with you, with your neighbors, your neighborhood, and whoever, to educate, so that when you go into the voting booth, you have an informed decision. It is going to be the will of the people, but I want the people to be informed when they're going in. And it's down the ballot, so everybody knows if you're going to come, if you're going to vote for Trump or you're going to vote for Clinton. But by the time you get down to the bottom, you're a little tired and you may not know what's this. And so we're going to have to make sure that we stay on the tip of the tongue, so people know that Union County Public Schools needs this. So again, thank you so much for your support. And that's it for me for board comments. Let's see, any announcements?
Yes, tomorrow we'll have a policy meeting at 8:30, and curriculum will follow at 9 at central office.
And facilities will meet Tuesday, July 26th at 8 o'clock in the boardroom.
Okay, so now the best part, I need a motion. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Thank you. Motion adjourned, meeting adjourned.